Welcome to The Explainer. To kick things off today, I want to take you on a little trip to the Zen Mountain Monastery, tucked away in the beautiful Catskill Mountains. We're going to look at a highly educated guy named Thomas. Now, Thomas had spent years, literally years, nurturing this ultimate dream job fantasy. He fully believed that practicing as a Zen monk was his one true passion. So he finally gets accepted, moves into this tiny little cabin, and eventually hits a major milestone by passing his very first Zen puzzle. He had reached the absolute zenith of his passion. And yet, walking through the forest one Sunday, it hit him. Nothing had changed. He was exactly the same person, dealing with the exact same anxieties. His entire fantasy just crumbled around him right there in the woods, and he just started crying.
Okay, let's dive into this because honestly, Thomas's story completely challenges one of our deepest, most universally accepted cultural assumptions about work and happiness. We are told constantly, from a really early age, that the secret to happiness is finding our pre-existing passion and perfectly matching it to a career. But what if that idea isn't just a little misguided? What if it's actually dangerous? Seriously, what if follow your passion is actually a terrible strategy for finding a fulfilling career?
To figure that out, we're exploring the seriously fascinating insights from the book So Good They Can't Ignore You by computer science professor Cal Newport. And the subtitle of this book makes a really bold claim: Why Skills Trump Passion in the Quest for Work You Love. So today, we're going on a bit of a myth-busting journey together to uncover what actually creates real workplace happiness.
Right, so to begin tearing down this myth, we first have to look at its absolute biggest champions. And you've probably heard this famous quote before. Back in 2005, Steve Jobs stood in front of 23,000 people at Stanford Stadium and said, "You've got to find what you love. The only way to do great work is to love what you do." It is incredibly inspiring. Millions of people have watched the video. We all nod along to it because, well, it just feels so right. Jobs was a visionary who clearly loved what he did, so his advice absolutely has to be the blueprint, right?
Now, what's really interesting here is the actual timeline of Steve Jobs' early career. If we look closely at his history leading up to the totally unexpected birth of Apple Computer, it is incredibly messy and, frankly, distinctly lacking in any passion for technology. He was a college dropout studying Western history and dance. In 1974, he took a night shift job at Atari simply because the ad said, "Have fun and make money." He literally just wanted some quick cash. Then he left that job to go on a spiritual journey to India. And when he pitched Steve Wozniak the idea to make computer circuit boards in 1975, it was just a low-risk scheme to make some money in their free time. Jobs didn't start with this burning passion to change the world. He basically stumbled into a lucky break.
So, if the ultimate poster child for following your passion didn't actually follow his own advice, what is the real mechanism behind loving your work? To answer that, we need to pivot away from the anecdotes and look at the snappy, hard science of satisfaction. Because as you'll see, rigorous, peer-reviewed research proves that passion is rarely a pre-existing condition for career success. Let's start with an extensive 2002 study led by Canadian psychologist Robert Vallerand. His team surveyed over 500 university students just to see if they actually possess these pre-existing passions we always hear so much about. And they found that a striking 84% of the students were identified as having a passion. At first glance, you're probably thinking, hey, that's a huge victory for the passion hypothesis. Everyone has a passion waiting to be discovered, but wait until we look at what those passions actually were. And this brilliantly illustrates the fatal flaw in the passion advice. When the researchers looked at the details, they found that 96% of those passions were completely unrelated to work or education. We're talking about things like dance, hockey, skiing, reading, and swimming. They were just hobbies. The vast majority of people simply don't have a relevant pre-existing career passion to follow in the first place. You literally can't match your career to a passion that doesn't exist.
So, if we aren't born with these work-related passions, where do they actually come from? Well, Amy Wisniewski, a professor at Yale, surveyed employees to see who viewed their work as just a way to pay the bills, who viewed it as a career, and who viewed it as a true calling. To eliminate any variables, she looked at a group of college administrative assistants, people with the exact same position and nearly identical daily responsibilities. She found they were pretty evenly split on how they viewed their work. But here is the kicker. The strongest predictor of an assistant seeing their work as a deep, passionate calling wasn't a pre-existing love for administration. Actually, scratch that, it wasn't pre-existing at all. It was simply the number of years spent on the job. Passion takes time. It comes from getting really good at what you do over many years.
And this aligns perfectly with a 40-year-old scientific framework known as self-determination theory. This theory identifies the absolute fundamental pillars of human motivation.
They are autonomy, which is that feeling of control over your day, competence, the feeling that you are a master at what you do, and relatedness, feeling connected to others. Now, notice what's missing from this list. Matching work to pre-existing passions is completely absent. Science knows that motivation actually comes from mastering skills and gaining control, not from some magical personality job match. Let's move to the data and see how this builds over time. How did this misconception grow into such a widespread cultural problem? Well, back in 1970, a book called What Color is Your Parachute was published, radically introducing the idea that you should figure out what you like to do first and then find a place that needs you. Over the next few decades, the phrase "follow your passion" absolutely spiked like crazy in published writing. But by 2010, a Conference Board survey found that U.S. job satisfaction had dropped to an all-time low of 45%. Basically, the more we obsessed over loving what we do, the less we actually ended up loving it.
And the real tragedy here is the human cost of this myth. Consider this quote from Elaine, a 25-year-old profiled in a book about the quarter-life crisis. She said, "I'm so lost about what I want to do that I don't even realize what I'm sacrificing." This isn't just innocent optimism we're dealing with. It's genuinely dangerous. The passion hypothesis convinces young professionals that there is this magic right job waiting for them out there. And when their real-world jobs inevitably include hard work and difficult responsibilities, they think they've made a terrible mistake. It leads to crippling self-doubt, chronic job hopping, and just constant anxiety.
To break free from this anxiety, we need a complete shift in how we view work. We absolutely must abandon the passion mindset, which is fundamentally self-centered. It's constantly asking, what can the world offer me? Is this job making me happy right now? Instead, we need to adopt what Newport calls the craftsman mindset. The craftsman looks outward and asks, what value can I offer the world? It's a complete focus on the output, on mastering a craft, and on becoming incredibly useful. It's a real game changer. To see the clarity of this craftsman mindset in action, just look at Jordan Tice. He's a 24-year-old professional bluegrass guitar player. Now, you might expect a musician to be totally consumed by the romantic passion of his art, but instead, living in this tiny monastic room, he is hyper-focused on physical and mental exercise, meticulously practicing a complex musical run. He plays it slowly, speeds it up until he makes a mistake, and repeats it over and over and over. He isn't following his passion, he's actively building it through intense, unglamorous hard work and deliberate practice. So the crucial point is this: working right completely trumps finding the right work. Our culture has it completely backwards. You don't just find a pre-existing passion and let it effortlessly lead you to a job. Instead, you put your head down, you adopt the craftsman mindset, and you acquire rare and valuable skills. As you build that competence, you naturally gain autonomy and connection, which, as the science clearly shows, are the true ingredients of motivation. Bottom line, don't follow your passion. Let passion follow you as a side effect of mastery. Which leaves us with one final, totally vital question to reflect on today. I want you to forget about what you're meant to do or what secret destiny awaits you. Just look at your life right now and ask yourself, what rare and valuable skills are you building right now? It's time to abandon the myth of the magic job, embrace the clarity of the craftsman, and get to work. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.